and welcome to Freelance Conveyancing. Yesterday I did a post for bond registrations or transfers, and the majority of the rules was transfers. So today I'm just gonna pick up my training transfer file and just gonna go through it briefly. Okay, so basically I just want to talk about real-time conveyancing and the transfer matters. So as you all know that each conveyancing transfer is different. So there is no set order of which sequence of events in a transfer will happen. So there's no particular order, but the practice stays the same. So basically, I'm just going to make a scenario. Say you're interview for the job, whether you're a candidate, attorney, a legal secretary, and you have done your research and you see a job and they require a conveyancing assistant or paralegal or that's something, but normally when you're a candidate, they don't normally give you conveyancing unless they have the time to teach you. So normally firms don't really have the time to teach you, but there are, I think, smaller firms who still take the time to teach you. If you maybe were with the firm for a long time and you have seen how things have been dealt with in terms of the conveyancing files. So I'm just going to talk about an ordinary conveyancing matter, transfer, an ordinary transfer. So basically, before when you get an instruction, the first thing that you will be doing is, so in my personal experience, when I started at a law firm, basically I did it all from inception until finalization, meaning right from the start until I close the books and make sure my ledger is on a nil balance and make sure that everything is transferred to the clients correctly. So the first thing you'll do is, well, that was a very small firm, so basically we have a black book where we record all our matters in. So it's a black book that's separated between matters. So our firm dealt with MVA, a little bit of divorce, deceased estates, and conveyancing. So I was in control of deceased estates and conveyancing. So when I started at the firm, I just got there, I went to the job the first day, the next day I was hired. So they asked me, if I give you a file, do you know where it ends? So when you start with a transfer matter and it's from the beginning, obviously you're going to put things in a chronological order. You're going to make folders for everything. First thing you're going to make folder for is accounts, then correspondence, then if there's a bond registered over the property, you're going to put bond registered as A, B, C. If there's a bond cancellation, attorneys. Then it's Fica between the buyer and seller. If they're married in the community of property, obviously they have to have both the sellers, meaning the husband and the wife. If the property is being sold and the seller is married in community of property, he needs to have his wife. Okay, so that is just a description of parties. I'm not going to go into it, it's very in-depth. So first thing you do is, when you receive it, before you even write your matter into that book, because we don't want to, sometimes I used to enter a matter and then to find that the seller or the purchaser decides to not move forward in the matter before it even starts. So which means I open the file, I record it into the book, and then my principal informed me that the matter is not moving forward, so which means I'm going to cancel that file and put cancellation. So when the matter starts, you're going to do all those folders that I've just told you. So you're going to collect all the documents. If there's a pro forma, which is for the when you receive, let me just start from the beginning. Then you received, after you've opened the file, I think before you even open the file, before you even know that the matter is going to move forward, is that you're going to receive a sale agreement signed by both parties in the matter. So you're going to make sure on the sale agreement that everything, so you're going to check everything. If there's a bond, that will tell you who's the bond in for which bank. They will basically send you the bond information along with the sale agreement. Sometimes it comes after, but it comes eventually. Whenever I send you the sale agreement, you have to make sure that you get the bond information regarding the property. Okay, so you're going to make sure on the sale agreement that each page is initialed by all the parties. Then, one thing I was taught by my lecturer is that at the end of the sale agreement, when the party has signed, always make note of the date of which the sale agreement was beginning to effect. So even though it's the seller selling the property and he signs first, doesn't mean that date is valid for when the sale agreement is valid for. So whoever signs last, meaning the last day, if the seller signs today, which is the 18th of April, and the purchaser signs tomorrow, which is the 19th, the sale agreement will be effective from tomorrow. So you need to make a note, basically either in pencil or at the top of your file, sale agreement effective. Because sometimes when you go to the back of your file, when you eventually need to enter the matter onto SARS, you don't want to be scrolling through the entire file because it might take time. Sometimes when you put notes on the top of your file with the date, put your name next to it, so whoever picks up the file knows who last worked with the file and where it last stopped. But sometimes it's not really stopped there. You need to go to the file to actually see that. So yes, so that's the sale agreement. Okay, so now the sale agreement is signed. Now you've received. Now, before any purchaser usually shop for the property, they usually ask for pro forma. Pro forma is cost, which needs to be paid by the purchaser. It's transfer cost of the property. So it's a pro forma account, right? So it's a pro forma account showing the charges that the purchaser is liable for for the duration of the transfer. So bear in mind that a seller does not pay transfer costs, because I mean, like, why would he pay transfer costs if the property is not coming back and it's going to the purchaser? So imagine a seller sells his property and he pays the cost, but it's no longer his, so it doesn't make sense exactly. So it goes for the purchase cost. So other costs regarding rates, any certificates that needs to be obtained during the property is being transferred and it's still in the seller's name, that is for the seller. It's not for the purchaser. But sometimes in a conveyancing matter, how I did it, we sometimes they charge for rates in advance. We call for an amount in advance from the purchaser, because remember, after property is transferred, the purchaser does not pay rates for 3 months, right? So you'll see for 3 months he won't be getting any account from his municipality. Either way, so another thing is, after you've received, now you've done your pro forma, you've got the sale agreement, make sure thereafter you've got the pro forma, you've drafted your letters both to the seller and the purchaser requesting Fica documents or any documents that is outstanding so that the matter can move forward. So you request Fica, or you to the seller, you say thank you for the instruction and for him choosing you as the conveyancer, and that you would like to request for Fica for himself if he has a wife, for his wife, any proof of residence, current rates account. Then for the purchaser, you ask for proof of his Fica documents, his ID, proof of residence, etc. Okay. Thereafter, after you've made contact, we normally used Lexis Convey. So after I've entered the matter into the black book, I still have to enter it in electronically, because if anything happens in the matter, it gets stored on the server and then it gets updated like every Friday. So I actually call them, or they call me to say I update the version, and then they store all the files pertaining to Lexis Convey. Then you need to enter all the information. So Lexis Convey is a system on its own. It will pull all the information through from the purchaser and the seller. All the information, let's be clear, that you've entered. So make sure that the information is correct, because Lexis Convey has access to all the municipalities in your area. So I'm in Durban area, so I have access to Etiquette municipality. So if I have entered all the information, make sure it's correct. I just want to recap through the pro forma. If the property is within the threshold or over the threshold of SARS, make sure that you ask for transfer duty. If there's a deposit that needs to be paid in accordance with the sale agreement of the property, make sure that same is on the form, and make sure before you even move forward in the matter that conveyancing cost is there. All the costs, agent fees, everything that needs to be covered. Let me just go through this account that I have here. Okay, I'm just using my dummy file for this video. So you're gonna, okay, so yes, so you're gonna have, sorry, and there it is. So you're gonna have basically this file cover, your agent, property selling for, then if there's occupational rent, you put that as well, and then you will say who's the account for, like this account was for. Then you're gonna put 2 columns. You're gonna have debit and credit. So receive costs, pay water, rates, transfer duty. On this property, there was transfer duty. Then there was a deposit as well. Also, make sure that the deposit that you receive is invested in a 7-to-A account, which is an interest-bearing account. It's a mandatory account that needs to be opened when you're doing your matter. So usually, the conveyancer goes to the bank, you draft a letter, you send it to the bank, and you make sure, depending on what system you're using, you determine how you do your 70-to-A. So usually I used to draw a letter, I send it to the bank, it comes back, it's stamped, it gives me the account number, etc. So sometimes the money is on call, so that we know when the matter gets registered, we can call for those amounts. So that needs to come back into the trust. We need to calculate our amount, and obviously it's the money for the seller because he sold his property. Then if there's bond cancellation cost, pay seller. Also, there's a fee for disinvestment fee. When you're going to invest and you disinvest, you have to charge for that. So this is basically this was the final account for the, sorry. I was just going through that to show you like each. Okay, so obviously you will say receive deposit, but this is the account, this is just the pro forma. But for the pro forma, you're gonna have the person's name, transfer from seller to purchaser, address, then you put selling price, then you will say transfer cost, transfer duty, agents fees, deeds office fees, everything. Sometimes they even use Lexis Convey, but our account was done manually. I did it. Okay. So thereafter, you've done that now. Before you moved, before I never used to call for any applications before I've received transfer costs, because it will just be a big mess if I ought to apply for transfer for my rates application and I didn't receive costs. Also, before you even apply for certain applications, we do we call for municipality valuation role. So each municipality has their own systems in place. How you get that municipality valuation role, it's different. Usually in Etiquette, you go onto the site, you enter the property, and then you receive that specific. Then, in order to do some search on the property, after you enter the property on Lexis, in order for you to move forward to the next screen, you need to verify the property. So sometimes it pulls all the information of the property after it's verified. Then you can go to the verification screen and actually do a property search to see if there's any interdicts on the property. So before you even move, sometimes there's an interdict on the property, but it's actually because the neighborhood or the township has changed, or there's some change on it, or it's an interdict by the bank. The person has defaulted, or they've taken out a bond on the property, or they owe rates on the property and they haven't paid it. So the Etiquette municipality instruct attorneys to put an interdict over the property. So if the property are transferred, that attorney gets notified, or not even notified, the person who's transferring the property, the conveyancer who's transferring the property, will make contact with that attorney and ask what measurements should be taken, what can we do to alleviate or remove the interdict before we move forward to the next one. Because if the interdict is not removed, the property cannot be transferred. And if you incur any, first find out what type of interdict it is it, so that you can know how to handle the matter. Also, if it's an interdict that will stall the matter, make sure that you call, obviously bring it to the conveyancer's attention, go to the necessary superior, whoever it is, or yourself for that matter, see what type of interdict it is, or see what type of code it is that is over the property. Will it be an interdict that will stall the property? Is there certain bodies that need to get involved in order for you to move forward? Because sometimes you need to get permission to even transfer the property. Another thing is, after you've done your search, download the holding deed, which means the old deed. Go through the deed, make your necessary if there's suspension, if there's conditions that needs to be removed because it's old, you need to remove it, scrap it, make in pencil. So by the time when you get to drafting your deed, you know how to take it out. That's what I used to do. So after that, you've received the Fica documents, you now move forward. You've received your transfer cost. You apply for your rates application. Make sure in the rates application that the parties described is exactly the same as it stands on the identification book. Because to cancel a rates application in Etiquette, my experience, you would have to withdraw. I don't know if it's still the same, but you would have to withdraw the entire application and redo a new one, which means it will show that that application has been withdrawn, and you'll also have to give a reason why. Because must remember, when you make an application for rates, they get a notification and it gets sourced to the user. We used to call him the user. So it gets sourced to a user, and that usually get a notification for that area. Set some stronger, it will get to that user. And so now imagine you've done something wrong and you go over your application again and you see that the name is spelled wrong. It won't allow you to edit or do anything on that, which is a bit of a schlep. I don't know if they have changed that already, but you'll have to cancel the entire thing, say bye, and do it again. There is cost involved. I don't know what it is as it stands now. Then, when it comes to transfer duty, sometimes the property is exempted from transfer duty. Depends if it's within the threshold or above the threshold. Please. When it comes to transfer duty, and there's no transfer duty, you can cancel the application and nothing will happen. But now, when there's transfer duty involved in the property, people, you need to make sure that everything, that's why whenever they're looking for a conveyancing paralegal or candidate attorney who's going to do conveyancing, they emphasize on the word meticulous, because they would not and do not want you to miss out anything. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes, but if you can prevent the mistakes from happening before it even happens, it's good. So that's why they emphasize on meticulous experience. But let me tell you, so if you have no transfer duty and you've applied for transfer duty, you've got your transfer duty number, then you realize that you've put the identity, everything, don't leave anything. And another thing is, you must remember, when someone sells their property, they're anxious, they need the money, they're selling their property for certain reasons, they want the matter to move swiftly. Make sure that you don't just communicate with the parties when it's on a need-to-know basis. Always at the end of each week, on a Friday, when all the sequence of event has happened, give all the parties involved. So we start with the seller, the purchaser, give feedback. Bond registration, feedback. Bond cancellation, feedback. Because as a transferring attorney, you are the person who actually moved the will. If you don't move, nobody moves. If you stall, the whole matter stalls. So make sure everybody has been kept in the loop and everything is moving swiftly. Even if you have messed up, no matter how bad it is, gotta say it like it is. Do not lie, because sometimes they do find out things and you do not want to do that. So always make sure that you're open and honest and to the clients, and always explain things to them as you go along. If you need to contact them for urgency, you do so, but each week give an update so that they know that their matter is moving and where is the matter standing at this moment. So then after that, you will then send your documents. Is now signed, everything is signed, you got all your certificates, transfer duty. You will then make a pack. You will make a copy of that entire pack for the messenger, make him sign, date, time, his name, surname, which messenger is he coming from, and then that matter, in terms of Durban, we use Pietermaritzburg, so the matter will be sent to your selective agent, and the agent will then register the matter at the deeds office. Yes, guys, I know that's been so long that I've been talking, and I know there's more practical that I need to show, but it is a process, like to show the entire thing, so that I can show you exactly how it happens. Thank you so much, and I hope that wraps up the transfer process.